There is a type of fat hiding inside your body right now that you cannot see, cannot pinch, and probably do not even know is growing every single day. And the scary part is that 10 common foods sitting in your kitchen or your favorite drive-thru are feeding it right now. This is not the soft fat under your skin that you grab and complain about in the mirror. This is visceral fat, the fat wrapped tightly around your liver, your intestines, and your other organs, and it behaves nothing like regular body fat. It is metabolically active, meaning it constantly releases inflammatory chemicals into your bloodstream, quietly damaging your health from deep inside while you look completely normal on the outside. Most people assume all belly fat is the same, but that assumption could be costing you years of your life. Here's the part that really shocks people. Roughly 1 out of every 2 people drinks one of the beverages on this list on a regular basis, and about 2 out of 3 people eat at least one of these visceral fat triggers almost daily without ever realizing the damage building up inside them. My name is Dr. Michael Diamonds. I am a medical doctor and scientist trained in biochemistry and microbiology. I compete as a natural bodybuilder, and for more than a decade, I have coached everyday people on exactly what to eat and what to avoid to strip away visceral fat and finally reveal a leaner, healthier midsection. Today, I am going to challenge everything you think you know about stubborn belly fat by walking you through 10 foods that are secretly feeding it, foods you are very likely consuming without a second thought. By the time this ends, you will know precisely which everyday choices are working against you and, more importantly, exactly what to swap them for. Let us get straight into it. Before we reach food number 1, I want to be completely clear about something. This video is not about shaming any single food or making you feel guilty for enjoying yourself. The real goal is to raise your awareness so you can make smarter choices when it matters most. Health exists on a spectrum. Some choices support your body and some work against it. And enjoying something occasionally, whether it is a treat or even a drink at a celebration, is not going to destroy your progress. Keep that perspective in mind as we go. Now let us start with food number 10, and it might surprise you. Tropicana orange juice. The label says 100% orange juice, purely squeezed, no added sugar, and it feels like the responsible choice standing in the grocery aisle. It is not. A 12-ounce glass of this juice contains 34 grams of sugar, which is roughly 8.5 sugar cubes dissolved into one drink. That happens because the fiber naturally found in the orange has been completely removed during processing, so that sugar rushes into your bloodstream almost instantly. A 2021 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 783 children from infancy through their teenage years, and researchers discovered that every additional daily serving of fruit juice predicted noticeably higher visceral fat for years afterward. The real culprit is liquid fructose. Picture your liver as a nightclub bouncer. When sugar arrives slowly, the way it does from a whole orange packed with fiber, the bouncer manages the crowd easily. But when 34 grams of liquid sugar rush the door all at once, the bouncer gets overwhelmed, and your liver converts that extra fructose directly into visceral fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis, storing it snugly around your organs. A 2023 meta-analysis in the same journal found that eating whole fruit rather than drinking its juice reduced body weight by nearly 1 kilogram, about 2.2 pounds, and shrank waist circumference by close to 2 centimeters. Same fruit, different outcome for your body. So the fix, skip the Tropicana and eat the whole orange instead. You get the fiber, you feel fuller for longer, and your liver gets a real break it will genuinely thank you for. Over 3 million Americans grab this drink every single day thinking it is harmless, and it is quietly doing damage. That is food number 9, the Starbucks Caramel Frappuccino. A grande, 16-ounce cup of this popular drink packs 420 calories, 66 grams of sugar, and 15 grams of fat. Picture that sugar as 16.5 sugar cubes stacked together, and the fat equal to about 3 full teaspoons, all sitting inside what looks like a simple coffee. In reality, it is a milkshake wearing a coffee disguise. The real danger is that people rarely think of it as food. They treat it as an afternoon, pick-me-up, drinking it on top of their meals, quietly adding calories they never planned for. A 2024 study published in the Obesity Journal found that sweetened coffee drinks consumed regularly are strongly linked to increased visceral fat buildup. Here is why. Those 66 grams of sugar, roughly 16 teaspoons, send your insulin skyrocketing. Your pancreas floods your bloodstream with insulin, your body flips into fat storage mode, and the extra sugar gets converted straight into visceral fat. The fix is simple. If you need your Starbucks fix, order a plain Americano, add a splash of whole milk if you want, or ask for it skinny with low-fat milk, sprinkle in some cinnamon for flavor, and take advantage of their sugar-free syrup options when available. Now let us move to food number 8, and this one has been sitting in American kitchens for over 100 years. Classic white Wonder Bread. Soft, fluffy, perfect for sandwiches, and seemingly harmless. Wrong again. 2 slices contain about 29 grams of refined carbohydrates, but only 2 grams of fiber. So what exactly makes a carbohydrate refined? Whole grains naturally contain 3 parts: the fiber-rich bran, the nutrient-dense germ, and the starchy endosperm. During refining, manufacturers strip away the bran and the germ, leaving behind pure starch that your body processes almost identically to table sugar, stripped of fiber, B vitamins, iron, and healthy fats. Without fiber slowing digestion, refined carbs spike your blood sugar far faster than whole grains ever would. A 2010 Framingham Heart study tracked 2,834 people using CT scans and discovered that the heaviest refined grain eaters carried about 12% more visceral fat than those who ate the least. Meanwhile, the biggest whole grain eaters carried roughly 17% less visceral fat, but only if their refined grain intake stayed low. Eating 4 or more refined grain servings daily cancels any benefit whole grains might offer. A separate 2017 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that whole grain eaters burned about 92 more calories per day compared to refined grain eaters, purely through better digestion and metabolism. So here is the fix. Swap Wonder Bread for genuine whole grain bread and check the label for at least 3 to 5 grams of fiber per slice. Good options include Dave's Killer Bread, Ezekiel Bread, or sourdough made with real whole grains, all far better choices for your waistline. Next up is food number 7, margarine, marketed for decades as the heart-healthy alternative to butter because it is supposedly lower in saturated fat. The truth is, many margarines contain artificial trans fats formed through partially hydrogenated oils. A 2011 study in nutrition and diabetes gave women trans fats for 16 weeks and found their good cholesterol dropped by 10% while their bad cholesterol climbed 18%. A 6-year primate study found that diets high in trans fats cause 7.2% body weight gain compared to just 1.8% from healthier fats, with most of that extra weight landing directly around the organs. Trans fats do more than raise inflammation. They actively signal your body to redirect fat storage toward your abdominal cavity instead of under your skin. The fix here is straightforward. Replace margarine with real butter, preferably grass-fed, or switch to olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil. Your body already knows exactly how to process real fat, while heavily processed vegetable oil blends remain inflammatory, even when trans fat-free. What if I told you the world's most beloved fries are quietly engineered to pack fat directly onto your organs, not just under your skin? That brings us to food number 6, the famous McDonald's French fries. Enjoying these occasionally will certainly not ruin your progress, but let us look honestly and carefully at what is actually happening here. McDonald's fries are the most consumed fries on the planet, and they rank among the biggest contributors to visceral fat you can possibly eat. A medium order contains 380 calories, 19 grams of fat, and 48 grams of carbohydrates, roughly 4 teaspoons of fat, and the sugar equivalent of 12 sugar cubes. Here's what actually happens deep inside your body when you eat them. These fries are cooked in a blend of canola, corn, and soybean oils, some of them partially hydrogenated, all highly inflammatory and loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. A 2024 study in Food and Function tracked over 27,000 people across 8 years and found that those eating fried foods 1.5 servings or more daily had a 31% higher obesity rate and 27% greater abdominal obesity risk. But the cooking oil alone is not the entire story. When potatoes are deep fried at high temperatures, they form compounds called advanced glycation end products created when protein or fat molecules bond with sugar molecules under intense heat. These compounds build up in your tissues, trigger oxidative stress and inflammation, and directly promote insulin resistance along with visceral fat accumulation. In fact, fried potatoes were the single most dangerous food in that entire study, showing 45% higher obesity risk and 49% higher abdominal obesity risk compared to people who avoided them completely. On top of that, a medium fry carries 260 milligrams of sodium, triggering water retention and bloating that can make you look and feel heavier than you actually are. These fries are practically built to keep you reaching for more. The fix is simple. Make your own at home. Slice up potatoes, toss them in olive oil, season with pink Himalayan salt and paprika, then air fry at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. You get that same crispy texture without the inflammatory oil bath loaded with harmful compounds. Now let us move to food number 5, everyone's guilty pleasure, Skittles. This is essentially concentrated sugar disguised as candy. A standard 2.17 ounce pack, the kind you grab at a gas station or movie theater, contains 45 grams of sugar, roughly 11 sugar cubes packed into one small bag, which is actually more sugar than a glazed Krispy Kreme donut. It is loaded with high fructose corn syrup and sugar, offering 0 fiber, 0 protein, and 0 real nutrients, essentially pouring gasoline straight onto a fire. A 2024 study tracking 3,300 adults over 30 years found that higher added sugar intake was linked to a 28% increase in obesity risk and a 27% increase in abdominal obesity risk. Here's what happens the moment you eat them. A massive sugar load hits your bloodstream. Insulin spikes dramatically. And since insulin is your body's primary fat storage hormone, your body shifts entirely into storage mode, unable to burn fat at all, preferring to stash it around your liver, pancreas, and intestines, exactly where visceral fat lives. On top of that, sugar is genuinely addictive, lighting up the same brain regions as cocaine. So craving Skittles does not mean you lack willpower. It means you are biologically wired to want them. And that high fructose corn syrup bypasses your normal metabolic regulation entirely, converting directly into liver fat through the same de novo lipogenesis process mentioned earlier. It truly is not just the calories, it is the specific type of sugar that matters most. The fix here is genuinely satisfying. Reach for a few squares of dark chocolate, ideally 70% cocoa or higher, a piece of whole fruit, or some Greek yogurt drizzled lightly with honey and topped generously with fresh berries instead, giving you sweetness without wrecking your progress. Here's a lunchbox staple millions eat without a second thought, and it might be one of the sneakiest visceral fat drivers on this list. That brings us to food number 4, bologna. Processed meats like this, one drive, visceral fat accumulation through several different mechanisms at once. A 2022 study tracking 7,300 adults found that the heaviest processed meat eaters carried 22% more visceral fat and faced a higher risk of central obesity compared to those who ate the least. So why is bologna such a problem, remembering it simply stands in for processed meats as a category? One serving contains 310 milligrams of sodium, along with preservatives, nitrites, low-quality scrap meats, and a long list of fillers and additives. These chemicals ramp up inflammation throughout your body and can trigger insulin resistance, both of which quietly signal your body to store more fat directly around your organs. On top of that, bologna is calorie-dense yet nutrient-poor, meaning it piles on fat without giving your body any of the vitamins or minerals it actually needs to function properly. Think of processed meat like a corrupted file sent to your body. Your system recognizes it as food, but the important data, the actual nutrients, has been stripped out and replaced with additives that trigger error messages in the form of inflammation throughout your entire system. The World Health Organization classifies processed meats as a Group 1 carcinogen, the same category as cigarette smoking, and that fact deserves attention. A 2025 study published in Nature Medicine found that processed meat consumption raised type 2 diabetes risk by 11% and colorectal cancer risk by 7%. The fix here is straightforward. Choose fresh, unprocessed meats instead, like grilled chicken, grilled turkey breast, or grass-fed beef. If you truly love your deli meats, opt for minimally processed versions like roasted chicken or roasted turkey with no added nitrates, and always read the ingredient label closely, because if something on there you cannot pronounce, it is probably time to put it back on the shelf. Now, let us move into food number 3, Ben & Jerry's, easily the most premium and popular ice cream brand across America. A single pint of their chocolate fudge brownie flavor contains 1,040 calories, 52 grams of fat, and over 100 grams of sugar, roughly 10 teaspoons of fat, and 25 sugar cubes packed into one container, which adds up to more calories than 2.5 Big Macs combined. Nobody is claiming you sit down and finish the entire pint in one sitting, but honestly, we have all been there at some point. Here's exactly why Ben & Jerry's lands on this visceral fat list. It combines heavy sugar with saturated fat and often artificial ingredients into one creamy, genuinely irresistible package engineered to be nearly impossible to put down. A 2021 clinical trial found that every 10% increase in ultra-processed food consumption, including ice cream, raised visceral fat by 0.09 standard deviations, and that number adds up remarkably fast over time. The real problem is the combination itself. The sugar spikes insulin, telling your body to store fat, while the saturated fat slows digestion, keeping those calories circulating in your system longer. And together, they create the perfect storm for visceral fat building up around your organs. The fix here genuinely changes the game. Make your own ice cream at home using a device like the Ninja Creamy, or simply freeze Greek yogurt blended with protein powder, fresh fruit, and a touch of honey for complete control over every ingredient. Brands like Halo Top typically run between 280 and 300 calories per pint, packing 20 to 24 grams of protein while containing only 16 to 20 grams of sugar, roughly 5 sugar cubes for the entire pint compared to 25. The real difference between these two options is protein, since high protein ice cream keeps you fuller for longer, prevents sharp sugar spikes, and reduces visceral fat storage, while also making you far less likely to polish off the whole container in one sitting. Here is something most people never connect to their stubborn gut fat, yet it is sitting in nearly every single fridge across America right now. That brings us to food number 2. Alcohol. A single 12-ounce Budweiser contains 145 calories and 11 grams of carbs, roughly 3 sugar cubes in one can, and drink 3 or 4 during a football game, and you have just consumed 600 calories and 12 sugar cubes worth of liquid carbohydrates with zero nutritional value to show for it. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Epidemiology measured visceral fat in 998 Japanese men using CT scans and found that those consuming 483 grams of alcohol or more weekly, about 7 drinks, carried 26% more visceral fat than non-drinkers, with visceral fat area climbing from 105 cubic centimeters to 130, 3 cubic centimeters. Here's the science behind exactly why this happens inside your body. The moment you drink a beer, your liver prioritizes metabolizing that alcohol above everything else, essentially pushing all the extra calories from the beer, and whatever wings you are eating alongside it, straight into visceral fat storage around your liver and other organs. Alcohol also raises cortisol, your primary stress hormone, which loves nothing more than storing fat directly around your belly. Here is the kicker. Beer contains phytoestrogens from hops, compounds that can raise estrogen levels in men, contributing to more belly fat and even enlarged chest tissue. A 2023 study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that heavy drinking, defined as more than 2 drinks daily, increased pericardial fat, the fat surrounding your heart, by 17% and liver fat by 3.8% compared to lifelong abstainers. Think of alcohol like hitting pause on your entire metabolism while your liver works overtime processing ethanol. Your body's fat-burning machinery sits completely idle, and any calories coming in during that window get routed directly to storage, preferentially into your visceral fat compartment. Interestingly, when matched carefully for total alcohol content, beer produces effects nearly identical to hard spirits, which clearly tells us the alcohol itself is the real driver here, not the particular beverage type. Nobody is saying you can never enjoy a drink again, but if you are serious about losing visceral fat, cutting back matters more than you probably think it does right now. If you do drink, reach for lower calorie options like Michelob Ultra, sitting at just 95 calories, or Bud Light, which runs noticeably lower in calories than standard beers. Or stick with dry wine or spirits mixed with soda water and a splash of fresh lime instead of sugary mixers. And never drink on an empty stomach, since doing that spikes insulin and fat storage even further, a question I get asked constantly by people trying to change their habits. Before we move on, it is worth remembering that none of this means alcohol is completely off limits forever. It simply means treating it as an occasional choice rather than a daily habit if visceral fat is genuinely a concern for you. Small, consistent changes here tend to matter far more than one dramatic overhaul that does not last. Now that alcohol is behind us, let us move into the final and arguably most dangerous food on this entire list, regular Coca-Cola. This is, without question, the single worst food for visceral fat, and honestly, it is not even close. Coke remains the most consumed sugary drink on the planet, with roughly 1.9 billion servings consumed worldwide every single day. I will admit, I personally drink the 0-calorie version myself, but a standard 20-ounce bottle of regular Coca-Cola contains 65 grams of sugar, equal to 16 sugar cubes packed into one bottle. There's a landmark heart study I mentioned earlier, tracking over 1,000 people for 6 years using CT scans to measure visceral fat, finding daily sugar-sweetened beverage drinkers accumulated 27% more visceral fat than non-drinkers. Here is exactly why Coke, or sugary drinks generally, cause so much damage. Liquid sugar completely bypasses your natural fullness signals. When you eat solid food, your stomach physically stretches. Hormones like leptin signal to your brain that you are full, and your body registers what you just ate. But when you drink a Coke, your brain never properly registers those 240 calories the same way. So you end up piling on calories without ever feeling full, meaning you will likely eat a complete meal right afterward anyway, on top of everything you just drank. On top of that, Coke is packed with pure high fructose corn syrup, and unlike glucose, which your muscles can readily use for energy, fructose travels straight to your liver. Your liver becomes overwhelmed trying to process all that fructose, converting it directly into visceral fat through the exact de novo lipogenesis process mentioned earlier in this video. A 2009 study in the Journal of Clinical Investigation proved this precisely. Researchers compared people drinking fructose-sweetened beverages against those drinking glucose-sweetened beverages over 10 weeks, and both groups gained the same total amount of weight. Yet only the fructose group showed a genuine increase in visceral fat, along with higher triglycerides and noticeably worse insulin sensitivity. Think of Coke like opening a direct pipeline running straight from your mouth to your abdominal fat cells. The fructose skips right past your normal metabolic checkpoints and converts into visceral fat with almost no regulation standing in its way. So what exactly is the fix here? Please, seriously consider cutting out regular Coke and switching to the zero sugar version. Or better yet, cut sugary drinks out of your routine entirely if you can manage it. I personally drink Coke Zero myself, simply to demonstrate that this video is meant to educate you and help you make informed choices, not to demand perfection. Drink more water, try sparkling water, add a flavored water enhancer if you want variety, enjoy black coffee, sip unsweetened tea, and if you crave flavor, squeeze in some fresh lemon or lime. This one single change can transform your body faster than almost anything else you could do. So there you have it, the 10 foods quietly increasing your visceral fat that you are probably eating on a regular basis without even realizing it. I want you to remember that every specific brand mentioned throughout this video was simply used as a clear, relatable example, standing in for an entire broader category of similar foods you will find on grocery shelves everywhere. None of this was about guilt. It was about giving you the real information doctors rarely explain clearly so you can make better choices starting today, one small swap at a time. Visceral fat did not appear overnight, and it will not disappear overnight either, but every single change you make from here, whether it is trading juice for whole fruit, swapping margarine for real butter, or cutting back on sugary drinks, adds up into something meaningful over time. If this video genuinely helped you see your everyday food choices differently, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button right now. It genuinely helps this channel keep making deeply researched videos just like this one. Drop a comment and let me know if you want the next 10 foods secretly feeding your visceral fat, because trust me, there are plenty more hiding in plain sight in nearly everyone's kitchen. And if you are ready to flip the script and learn exactly which 10 foods you should be eating instead to actively burn through visceral fat, click on the video appearing right on your screen right now, and I will walk you through every single one of them in complete detail. Thank you so much for watching all the way to this point. I genuinely appreciate you investing your time in your own health today, and I will see you in the very next video. Cheers.